What's up? We're at Nashville this weekend. I'll tell you who the favorite to win is going to be, your value picks, and your best long shot. All that and more coming up next on the preview. Okay, so like I said in the open, we are at Nashville, a place that Cup hasn't been to since 2011, or actually Cup hasn't been there. 2011 was an Xfinity race or Nationwide or Busch Series, whatever it was back then. And so you have to go back to then if you want some type of numbers, and the guys that are still around that ran that track would be Ricky Stenhouse, Austin Dillon, Eric Almirola, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So those guys do have experience at the track, but if you go back and look at those races, those cars were completely different than what we have now. So I don't know how much that would hold up, but if you're going off somebody with past experience at this track, those would be the guys you would probably want to pick from. But if you don't want to look at those numbers, what you can look at is what type of track is Nashville, and Nashville is 1.3, so that puts it right there at sort of the 1 mile intermediate Dover type of track, just a little bit bigger than short track. So on that particular deal, you would probably look at the averages of intermediate tracks, and if you look at those averages, you would see names like Kevin Harvick, who has an average finish of 4.0 at those tracks, Martin Truex Jr., who has an average finish of 7.5, then it's Denny Hamlin with an average finish of 7.8, and then Kyle Larson with a 8.9, and then to finish out that group, at the top 10 of that group, you've got Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Eric Almirola, and William Byron. So if you're going strictly by average driver finishes, those are the names you would want to look at. But if you look further, if you look at some of the old races at Nashville, you see that it's mainly a one groove track, but eventually that top groove does come in. So you might want to go look at, who are some rim riders? Who are some guys that are really good at running the top? And of course, those guys are Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Chase Briscoe, and Cole Custer. So if you want to pick from somebody who might break the high side in later and make a run on them, a la Miami Speedway or something like that, those would probably be your best four to pick from that group. And also, Nashville is a concrete track. It is 1.3 miles. So it's very similar to Dover as far as that goes. I don't think it's banked quite as much as Dover, but if you want to look at the Dover results, obviously that was the Hendrick 1, 2, 3, 4 finish. And then behind that Hendrick 1, 2, 3, 4 was Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Daniel Suarez, and Cole Custer. So at this point, some of these names have got to be jumping out to you. Obviously, your favorites for this race, if you look at it, Kyle Larson's name popped up a bunch of times on those lists. Kevin Harvick's name jumped out. I think he was on every one of those lists except for running the top. And Kyle Busch, and then you sort of sprinkle in some Hendrick drivers. So I think if you're looking at favorites, you have to look at the 4 Hendrick drivers, obviously, because they had the 1, 2, 3, 4 finish at Dover, and Hendrick's just got it going on this year. Kevin Harvick jumps out at you, and Kyle Busch. So let's say I'm betting $100. If I'm betting $100 on this race, I'm putting my money on Kyle Larson, 25 on Kyle Larson, 25 on Kevin Harvick, 25 on Kyle Busch, and then just pick one of your other Hendrick drivers, whether it be Chase Elliott, William Byron, or Alex Bowman, who did win the Dover race. So that would probably be what I would lean to. If you want a good value pick here, Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, and Tyler Reddick would be your good value picks. Austin Dillon won a truck race here back in the day. And Ryan Blaney, he's just got that good average finish on intermediate tracks and as well as concrete tracks. And Tyler Reddick is just a guy that rips the top. And at some point, I feel like this guy's going to break through. This might be the day. So those would be my good value picks. And your long shot pick, you kept seeing Eric Almirola's name pop up. And I know he's having a terrible year. And sometimes guys just have terrible years. But sometimes in those terrible years, they break out and have a gem of a race and they win one, and then they go back to having a terrible year, or sometimes it springboards them into a resurgence. So it could be Eric Almirola. His numbers look good. I know his season's been terrible, but if you want a long shot, and they're laying him a pretty long number, I think one of the things I looked at, he was 15,000 to 1. So that would be a great long shot pick. But at the end of the day, if I'm only betting on one guy and one guy alone, I'm going with Kyle Larson because I think I'm going to keep riding that guy until I'm proven wrong. This isn't like a stock. You can get off of him. You can miss one race and get off of him. But I think he's just shown that this year he is the best driver and the best equipment, and he's showing what he can do with it. But if you're one of those people that like nobody wins 4 in a row, it's very rare. If you want to jump off of him because of that, I think your next best pick would be Kevin Harvick, because I think they learned from Dover that their package, because Kevin Harvick's usually pretty good at Dover. He was off this year. I think he learned from the Dover package, and they'll come with something. So if you're not going to pick Larson, I think Harvick would be your next best pick. All right, that's the preview. Thanks for your time. If you don't mind, subscribe down below. If you want to say something that I missed or something that I'm completely wrong about or whatever, leave something down in the comments. And thanks for your time. Peace. And speaking of Kevin Harvick, while I was filming this, it actually came out that he has a special paint scheme. He's going to be running a Gravedigger paint scheme. Great big Gravedigger fan. So check that out, and thanks for your time. Peace.